I never thought I'd have to face down my own in-laws over property rights. But there I was, watching them try to move into our $3.5 million beach house like they owned the place. My name is Madison Carter, and this is the story of how I exposed my in-laws' attempt to steal our dream home. The beach house in Southampton had been my personal investment, purchased 5 years ago before I even met my husband James. As a successful real estate attorney, I'd saved carefully and waited for the perfect property. When I found the stunning oceanfront home, I knew it was meant to be mine. James and I met 2 years after I bought the house. He was a talented surgeon who shared my love for the ocean and quiet weekends away from the city. His parents, Harold and Patricia Wilson, seemed pleasant enough at first, though they made frequent comments about how lucky their son was to marry someone with such a beautiful vacation home. "You must be so grateful to James for giving you access to his social circle," Patricia would say, conveniently ignoring the fact that I'd bought the house long before meeting their son. "It's opened so many doors for you." The subtle digs were constant. Despite my successful career and financial independence, they viewed me as someone who had somehow tricked their precious son into marriage. The fact that I owned a beach house they coveted only seemed to fuel their resentment. "It's really not right for a wife to have separate property," Harold once commented during a family dinner. "Everything should be jointly owned in a marriage." I maintained my composure, but James knew their comments bothered me. "Don't let them get to you," he'd say. "They're just old-fashioned." But old-fashioned didn't explain their increasingly aggressive attempts to take over the beach house. They started showing up unannounced for lengthy stays, rearranging furniture, and even giving tours to their friends as if they owned the place. The situation came to a head last week when James had to travel to a medical conference in Europe. I was staying in the city to handle a big case when I got a call from my neighbor at the beach. "Madison, there's a moving truck in your driveway," Sarah reported. "Your in-laws are here with a bunch of furniture, saying they're moving in permanently. They're claiming James signed over the house to them." I felt my blood pressure rise but kept my voice steady. "I'll be there in 2 hours. Please keep an eye on things." During the drive out to Southampton, I called James, but with the time difference and his conference schedule, I couldn't reach him. No matter, I had everything I needed in my briefcase. When I pulled up to the house, the scene was surreal. A large moving truck was backed into the driveway, and Harold was directing movers who were carrying their furniture into MY House. Patricia was in the garden, already pulling up my carefully tended herbs to make room for her precious roses. "What do you think you're doing?" I asked, stepping out of my car. Patricia barely looked up. "Oh, Madison dear. James didn't tell you? He signed the house over to us as an early retirement gift. We've always loved it here, and he agreed it should stay in the family." "Really?" I kept my voice level. "And when exactly did this happen?" Harold walked over, waving a document. "Last week. We have the paperwork right here." James agreed it was the right thing to do. I glanced at the paper he was holding. Even from a distance, I could see it was a poorly done forgery. "That's interesting," I said, opening my briefcase. "Because I have the original deed right here, along with the recent property tax payments from MY account. Now, would you like to explain whose signature is on your document?" Patricia's pruning shears clattered to the ground. That's not important." James agreed. "James couldn't have signed anything over because he's not on the deed," I interrupted. "This house belongs to me, purchased years before I met him. And that document you're holding? I'd take a very close look at it if I were you, Harold. Forging property documents is a serious crime." The movers had stopped working, sensing the tension. Harold's face had turned an interesting shade of red. "You're bluffing," he sputtered. "James told us James told you nothing," I said firmly. "Because James has no authority to give away my property. Now, I've already called the police to report an attempted property theft. They should be here any minute. Would you like to explain your forged documents to them, or would you prefer to get that moving truck off my property immediately?" As if on cue, a police car pulled into the driveway. I had indeed called them during my drive out, explaining the situation. Harold and Patricia's confidence crumbled instantly. "There's been a misunderstanding," Harold began backing away. "We'll just pack up and leave?" I finished for him. "Excellent idea. And you can explain to James why you tried to steal his wife's property with forged documents." The moving truck departed so quickly it left tire marks on my driveway. Patricia and Harold fled in their Mercedes, leaving behind only the pruning shears dropped in my herb garden. I gave a statement to the police, showing them my legitimate ownership documents, and the attempted forgery Harold had dropped in his haste to leave. The officers were highly interested in what appeared to be part of a larger pattern of fraudulent behavior. When I finally reached James that evening, he was horrified by his parents' actions. "I can't believe they would do this," he said, his voice tired through the international call. "I'm so sorry, Madison. I knew they were entitled, but this is criminal." "It's not your fault," I assured him. "But we need to talk about boundaries with your parents when you get back." The next few days brought revelations that made their attempted theft of my beach house seem like just the tip of the iceberg. The police investigation revealed that Harold and Patricia had a history of similar schemes. They had apparently attempted to claim ownership of several properties through forged documents over the years, usually targeting family members or close friends who might be reluctant to press charges. Most victims had simply paid them off to avoid family drama. "We've been trying to build a case against them for months," Detective Roberts told me. "But previous victims were unwilling to come forward. Your evidence and willingness to press charges could help us stop them." James fully supported my decision to pursue legal action. "They've gotten away with this behavior for too long," he said after flying home early from his conference. "Maybe facing consequences will finally make them change." Harold and Patricia hired an expensive lawyer and tried to claim it was all a misunderstanding. But their story fell apart under scrutiny. The forged document they'd created was amateurish, clearly done without professional help, making their crime both serious and somewhat pathetic. Other family members started coming forward with similar stories. James's cousin had sold them her condo in Florida after they presented fraudulent papers. His aunt had lost a valuable piece of land to their schemes. Each time, they had counted on family loyalty and shame to keep their victims quiet. "We were just trying to secure our retirement," Patricia wailed when confronted with the evidence. "We've given everything to this family." But the truth was, they had spent years taking advantage of family connections to steal properties they felt entitled to. Their attempts to manipulate and guilt their victims made their crimes even more reprehensible. The district attorney was building a strong case against them. Multiple counts of fraud, forgery, and attempted theft would likely result in significant penalties. Their reputation in the community, which they had valued so highly, was in tatters. James struggled with the revelations about his parents, but remained supportive of my decision to press charges. "I keep thinking about all the times they manipulated me," he admitted one evening as we sat on the beach house deck. "The guilt trips, the demands, the constant need for control. I should have seen this coming." The beach house itself became a symbol of standing up to their manipulative behavior. I hired additional security and installed cameras, not just for protection but as a message. Their sense of entitlement would no longer go unchallenged. Word spread through their social circle about their attempted theft and the pending criminal charges. Their country club membership was quietly revoked. Friends stopped returning their calls. The carefully constructed image they'd built of wealthy, respectable retirees crumbled. Patricia tried one last manipulation, showing up at our city apartment in tears. "You're destroying our family," she accused. "After everything we've done for you." "No, Patricia," I replied calmly. "You destroyed this family's trust with your actions. You tried to steal my property through fraud and forgery. These are the consequences." "We just wanted a place at the beach," she sniffed. "James should have made sure we had that." "James is not responsible for providing you with luxury properties," I said firmly. "And attempting to steal mine was both criminal and foolish." She left in tears, but I noticed she still managed to post on social media about being persecuted by her ungrateful daughter-in-law. The comments section was notably empty. The criminal case proceeded, with more victims coming forward. Harold and Patricia's lawyer attempted to negotiate a plea deal, but the district attorney, armed with evidence from multiple cases, held firm. James and I used the beach house more than ever during this period, finding peace in the sound of the waves and the distance from family drama. We hosted friends who had stood by us, created new memories, and strengthened our own relationship. "You know what's ironic?" James said one evening. "If they had just been decent human beings, we probably would have let them use the beach house whenever they wanted." He was right. Their sense of entitlement and willingness to commit fraud had cost them not just their freedom and reputation, but the very access to the property they had schemed to steal. The criminal case concluded with both Harold and Patricia accepting plea deals that included house arrest, significant fines, and restitution to their previous victims. They avoided jail time due to their age, but their reputation was irreparably damaged. Our beach house became a symbol of standing up to entitlement and manipulation. The herb garden Patricia had tried to destroy flourished again, stronger than before. Each weekend we spent there reminded us that protecting what's yours sometimes means confronting those who feel entitled to take it. James went through counseling to deal with the impact of his parents' actions and his own enabling behavior over the years. He learned to set boundaries and recognize manipulation tactics for what they were. I always thought giving in to their demands was easier than fighting, he admitted. But watching you stand up to them showed me that enabling their behavior only makes it worse. The moving truck that had tried to deliver their furniture became a running joke among our friends. At least they didn't try to steal the whole house, one quipped. Though not for lack of trying. A year has passed since that confrontation in our driveway. Harold and Patricia serve their house arrest in their downsized apartment, their social circle shrunken to almost nothing. They still occasionally try to play the victims on social media, but few are buying their story anymore. The beach house has become more than just a vacation property. It's a testament to the importance of standing up for what's right, even when it means confronting family. Each time we walk through the door, we're reminded that some things are worth fighting for. We've hosted many gatherings here since then, filling the house with genuine laughter and love rather than the artificial sophistication Harold and Patricia had tried to impose. The herb garden blooms more beautifully than ever, a living reminder that growth comes after pruning away toxic influences. James has found peace with his decision to support the criminal charges against his parents. They needed to face consequences, he says now. Real love doesn't try to take what belongs to others. The original deed and property documents remain safely stored in my office, a reminder that preparation and documentation are powerful defenses against those who would try to take what isn't theirs. Other family members have expressed their gratitude for our stand against Harold and Patricia's behavior. Many had suffered in silence, afraid to challenge the family patriarchs who had manipulated them for years. The beach house continues to be our sanctuary, now more meaningful than ever. Each wave that crashes on our beach reminds us that standing firm against wrongdoing, even from family, is sometimes the most loving thing you can do. Harold and Patricia's forged document hangs framed in my office. Not as a trophy, but as a reminder that entitlement and deception eventually meet their match in truth and justice. The moving truck that turned around that day didn't just take away furniture. It carried with it the last remnants of Harold and Patricia's ability to manipulate and deceive their family. Sometimes the best endings come from being willing to stand firm in the face of wrongdoing, even when it comes from those who should know better.